Hey, welcome back, Hillbilly Hustle. We've got David Soileau here, a kind of a recent friend we've come across through the time I was out in Utah. Really excited to hear what he's got going on in business, partners with some other guys doing Gophr, and I want you all to hear about Gophr and just a little bit of the story that he has about how it came about, some of the struggles that you might have gone through. And what I'd like to glean is kind of your best practices of where you've been, the things you've experienced, and others out there that might want to start their own business. They don't know what to do. They're like fearful. What can they do to kind of take action and really just get it done? I want to give you just a minute, introduce yourself. Give me like wave top, a little origin story of how David Soileau came to be, how you're at where you're at now.
Yeah, so first off, thanks for having me. It's exciting. Always fun to talk a little bit about yourself, right? And have those questions asked. So I guess the wave top, as you put it, of David Soileau's life and where he is today. So I spent 12 years in the Marines. A lot of that was reserve time, a good time.
A lot of crayons.
Yeah, a lot of crayons, started putting on some pounds from the crayons. During my time in the reserves, I was working as a crane operator in the civilian world, right, in refineries, and my best friend actually was working the same refinery as an operations tech or whatever, and he and I both just wanted out of the plants. There was something bigger for us. Mm-hmm. We just felt a drive to be passionate about something besides, oil and gas and working for the man, and everybody's kind of got that idea. Every man kind of feels that, I want to be my own boss. I want to do something bigger than this. I got to go to work every day. I may as well do something fun.
Yeah, work's
creative,
good.
Right?
Yeah. What am I doing with it?
I got to provide for the family, but when I'm 80 years old, what do I have to show for it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the American dream is what can I get? What can I work towards? A goal for this one life we have to live, right? And so, I'd be crane operating, and my now business partner would be sitting on the side of my crane and would be spitting out business ideas. Well,
just dreaming.
Yeah, just dreaming. And actually, he came up with the idea of Gophr while he was building a house for his father. They just kept running out of tools and supplies and daylight, and needed somebody to bring him materials, right? So he didn't have to leave the job site; he could keep working, waiting on materials. And so the idea for Gophr was born. Fast forward, we actually started in 2019. Started coding, got a few engineers involved from a local college. Had no idea what we were doing, and actually. I guess launched our first product in 2020, right in the heart of COVID. And the challenges that came to us along that way, first off, we hired too many people. We hired 37 employees right off the bat. Full-time employees, our payroll was like 190,000.
So you guys learned the whole W-2 thing, huh?
It was wild. We were paying, we paid some money out. And things were getting built. The product was getting built. The processes and procedures for what was then a corporation, we had incorporated and everything. It was wild, just so many moving parts. And I think, a quick pause to talk about the learning pieces there is you can do a lot more with a lot less. Being able to grind is super important.
A little sweat equity.
Yeah, a little sweat equity. And honestly, it's a great idea to have sweat equity, and it's a great idea to have a grind and to really just make it up as you go, because you learn better that way. You're able to actually figure things out in a new light, right? Where experience is good and having a good mentor is good, but but some things you need to figure out on your own to really solidify them, right? So we launch in COVID. Here comes, the stay-at-home orders, everything. And this product at that point was a marketplace where you could shop local stores, get same-day deliveries. The inventory lived in the app, kind of like Grubhub. Where,
so did you pull in inventory from the stores?
Yes. So we didn't keep the inventory, but it stayed in the stores, just like a food delivery app, right? Where you shop their menu, and you get same-day delivery. So it's kind of giving mom and pops, brick and mortars a fighting chance against Amazon, right?
So did you just integrate that with their own little APIs or whatever they had to pull their...
Well, no. So most of these stores didn't have any kind of engineering or the ability to really shoot menus, right? So we developed a lot of different things like universal product codes and things like that, where we could try to pull inventory that way. But really we ended up just hiring 10 data entry people, and hey, go to the store, take pictures, write down the product name, the description, upload it here.
Some sweat equity right there.
I'm telling you, it was a lot.
Well, so just to kind of stop you right there, this was a lot to come into on the front end. Did you get investors at the beginning? Because that required, to have 37 people on payroll, quite a bit of capital investment. How did that happen?
So we just started hitting the road, beating the streets. We talked to every lawyer, every doctor, everybody we could find that was a qualified investor, right? So, to obey the rules of the SEC, we had to make sure everybody was qualified, and which is some pretty strict standards.
Yeah, probably a little research on the front end of what are the requirements.
Exactly. So we raised almost $2 million initially, and just ran with it. Right.
Some people that want to take a risk on you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just to cut back into the story, we launched in 2020 during COVID. There's not a car on the roads. We've got Gophr billboards up. I'm driving through town like, oh man, all the businesses were shut down because stay-at-home order. People were like, I'm not going to work. Getting their checks from the government, whatever. So it got rough. And about that time, Cummins North America had reached out like, hey, can you deliver parts, engine parts? And we're like, yeah. And at that point, we had like cars, SUVs, pickup trucks in our assets, right? Our contractors. And so we were like, yeah, we can use those for engine parts. And then they were like, hey, can you move this? And it's like, okay, we can call a guy with a trailer. And then it's just bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we have cars all the way out to 18-wheelers. So that was the pivot point where we were like, okay, the market's not good for what we originally want to do, but we do have this platform that can work as just delivery. So, and that's what it is today, right? Someone can, an individual can be going to Lowe's to get some furniture and not have the right vehicle to get it to their house, right? Their patio needs furniture, right? So they put in a Gophr order, easy day, and it's delivered directly to their house same day, or schedule it out whenever they want. The same thing with the refinery. They can need some materials or supplies and put in a Gophr order, and it's delivered, whenever they want, wherever they want. So that was kind of the pivot point. And really the key there is you have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to cater to the needs, the demand, right? Supplying the needs of the demand. If you don't do that, you might end up trying to sell forever and never get anywhere.
So what value are you providing to the marketplace?
Exactly. And, if you're not focused on what the people want, you're going to give them nothing, essentially, because who cares about a product that sits on the shelf all day or an app that sits in your phone that never gets used?
So how did you all kind of mitigate, you might have had an idea of you might have had a vision, but the vision didn't really turn out how you want. How did you make the decisions of look, this is what I want to do, but this is kind of what we have to do? What did that kind of look like?
Well, it was pretty easy to go into the oil and gas field, right? Or the commercial industrial field, whatever you want to call it, right? Just because it's like dollar signs, okay, good. We found a customer, an ideal customer profile, right? An industrial supply company is it. They have the money, they have the need, so it wasn't as bad. It was, right at first, like you're saying, okay, we have some software we built that wasn't cheap, and we're gonna literally table it.
Yeah, but you need a honeypot. You need somewhere that's gonna feed you the capital to do the things you do want to do.
Exactly. So it was kind of a two-edged sword. We spent a bunch of money on this, but we do have, half of the software works for this new pivot. And so we had to do some tweaking, right? Adding 18-wheelers to the inventory, adding, things that we needed to do to be able to really meet the needs of our new clientele.
You got
right?
the whole DOT situation, FMCA,
a lot
get
of
your motor carrier stuff.
All that. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of moving parts and pieces, right? And we needed the biggest thing, feedback, right? Okay, what would make us be better than who you're using now? And you can ask that question to all the people you want, and then you got to figure out which answers are actually truthful, and then move in that direction, right? So we came up with real-time tracking, digital bill of ladings, even the FMCA guidelines, right, with AI, making sure that each load is strapped down properly, and I mean, just the accountability piece, right? So being able to talk to the driver directly really changed things too. I mean, and then pricing. When someone puts an order on the Gophr app, they see exactly the price they're paying. There's no fees. There's no hidden costs, right? So all these things, making the big picture just more user-friendly, where you're not sending 15 emails to get a quote. You're not waiting 24 hours for a quote, and you're not getting a quote back that has hidden fees and costs that you're like, when it comes time to pay, you're like, dude, why is it 3 times what you told me? So
it's kind of just for the listeners, like your standard process of logistics throughout the countries. You got a shipper, you got a receiver, then you got a broker who's going to handle the request between the shipper and receiver. Broker's going to find a carrier to then carry it and move the asset around. So what makes your process different from that process?
So, beautiful question. Gophr makes you your own broker. So you're literally putting in a request into our system, and the drivers are seeing it in real time, and you communicate directly with the drivers if there's any problems or concerns or questions or extra information, right? So you are your own broker at that point. You're requesting, you're getting a quote, and the driver's grabbing it.
And do all the drivers use your authority to move things? Or do they use their own authority?
They use their own authority, but it is under our broker authority as well.
Okay.
Right? So our insurance covers that as well. There's an umbrella policy, and we have extra coverages to keep things safe and secure. But yeah, and everything's protected, right? We're licensed and bonded broker.
Yeah. We're getting really into the weeds, I know, but this stuff's pretty interesting to me. There are intricacies about like any line of business that you're going to do. And y'all kind of found kind of a way around the existing process, because I personally haven't heard of anything like that. And the company I work for, we do some commercial carrying already, and it's not the best process. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of frustration dealing with a tremendous amount of brokers, and sometimes you get paid, sometimes they don't really want to pay you.
Yep.
So as you're moving through this and you're kind of learning new things about the commercial side, what did your investors think along the way as you are kind of pivoting? Like, you have to make your stakeholders, they were pitched an original idea, but now it's kind of shifting. How did you negotiate that?
So I'd really say about, out of, I guess, the original 40 investors we had at that time, I think 1 or 2 came back, hey, where's my return? Where's my money? What's going on? Why aren't we profitable yet? And those investors really, there was more at play there. There was like, houses were wiped away by hurricanes. They were worried, trying to claw back any money they could to try to get back on top financially. And, but once we went through the numbers, like, hey, look, here's what happened. We pivoted, we moved this way. Once we put out those investor reports, they saw, I don't want this money back. I need it to grow. This is where it's going to grow. So I think the oil and gas play in their eyes was actually, hey, yes, more power to you. Look at our new average ticket price went from like $10 a ticket to like $300 a ticket. So hey, it was a good play, right?
Yeah, what's the ticket?
So like an average order cost, right? Revenue. So with that, I mean, it was a no-brainer almost. I mean, the people that wanted their money back, they may have been qualified investors, but maybe not really really cool with having skin in the game, right?
Gotcha.
And that all comes with, if you're raising money, where you raise from is very important, right? If you're going to raise from private equity investors like we did, you're going to stand the chance of having people get a little more uneasy, right? Because maybe that's their first time investing in a private equity deal, right? Where, they're really watching closely, like, hey, this, they may put 10 grand in, the bare minimum. And, it's not really 10 grand that they're willing to lose, And so asking those questions up front, like, hey, look, we're a startup company, have you invested in one like this before? It's like, no, I hadn't. Okay, well, I need you to understand something, right? Our company could fail, right? You got to be realistic.
So you're like qualifying your investors.
Yeah, qualifying, overly qualifying,
yeah.
Right? Where it's like, hey, look, this money could be gone. We don't want to put you out, right? We want to start this business. We want your investment, but more importantly, we want your buy-in. And that's one of the things you don't expect to learn, but I've learned way more about the SEC than I ever wanted to know. Things that don't really make me money, but you have to play ball to get the investment dollars and to play the rules correctly so that you can come out on top in the end and not owe anybody, right?
Sure.
Especially not the government.
Yeah, play the game. So kind of bring it back to your regular dude who's sitting there. They might be dreaming themselves. Your decision to go in with a partner. How many partners do you currently have?
So we've got almost 100 investors, right? And some of those are actually pulled together in special purpose vehicles, right? Where, which that gets kind of way into the weeds, but so it's technically way less than like 50 investors altogether. But so those are considered kind of partners, right? And then there's 5 co-founders though.
Okay.
So we've got a couple of us, 2 of us do engineering. I'm the chief revenue officer, and we've got another guy. He's the chief operations officer, and then Warren is the CEO. Right.
Okay.
So just 5 of us.
Gotcha.
And what we found, obviously the number 37 was thrown out earlier as employees. We were able to automate a lot more than we thought, right? Especially as AI came out. Things just got easier.
Yeah.
So a lot of those people left right after COVID, and then the hurricanes took care of a lot more of them. Some of them were just interns, so they moved on throughout their college careers or whatever they had coming up. And so our numbers just dropped down to 5. And with that, it was very easy. And like I said, you can do a lot less or a lot more with a lot less than you think. That's kind of been my phrase for this year. Just kind of realizing, all right, we've got everything we need. Because the biggest play has been like, oh man, we need more engineers so we can do things faster. We need more salesmen so we can do things faster. We need more dispatchers. We need more of this, that, and the other. It's like, wait, we're technically a tech company. We need to lean on the tech more.
Yeah, especially if it's available. I mean, I use AI. I don't know if there's a day I haven't used it in the last like 6 months. I use it pretty much for everything.
It's key.
Yeah. So you got 5 partners, and for just a guy who might be thinking about, like, he's got some buddies, have an idea, want to start up something. What were some of your decision points on, choosing a partner? It's probably someone you got to trust. I mean, and anybody who listens to Dave Ramsey says the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. So you have a lot of negativity towards partnering, because when you put humans involved in anything, you're going to have conflict.
Yeah.
So what were some of the key things that you looked at in deciding when to partner with someone to move forward with y'all's dream?
So I think the biggest thing was really just the stamina, right? So the investment dollars kind of went out the window with COVID and the hurricanes. Everybody in our immediate area that we tried to raise money with, either already invested in us or said no, and our numbers dropped after the storm, right? I mean, it wasn't looking good. Everybody jumped out of the app. It was during the pivot time, right? So paycheck stopped, right? That's going to happen. You're going to have that happen. And when the paycheck stopped, people were like, that's another reason people moved on, right? We were like, hey, if you're in, you're in. If you're out, hey, we got work. We got work to do. If you're not going to be here because you don't have a paycheck, that's, it's nothing we can do. And so a lot of people stuck around for a good while. And really, the ones that really knew what this could be stuck it out. And the ones who knew what it could be were willing to give it, more than they had, right? To really put all their eggs in that basket and fight for it.
Do what it takes.
Yeah. So it's with that, I'll say it's not about your knowledge base. It's about your willingness to fight, right? It's a heart thing. So, I mean, it kind of took care of itself. The five that stuck it out were like, hey, I'm in.
It was a trial. And I think there's even a Bible verse on, tribulations refine you, and it separates who's really in it.
Yeah.
Because if you push through it, you push to the end, you push through the tribulation, that's you're stronger on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's what it was, right? So, I mean, we had Harry, who's one of the guys that stuck it out. He was an intern. And here's another big deal, right? Is you can never underestimate anybody. Like, I don't care who you are, what you came from, you've probably got some good ideas and at least worth listening to, right? Every human being has some value. And Harry was an intern, we brought him in. He was a great guy. And this guy, and now is one of our greatest assets. He's, we didn't really know how extraordinary he was, but we gave him every chance, and he took advantage of every chance and worked without a paycheck here and there. Anytime money came in, we'd be like, all right, hey, look, everybody gets this much. It's like, eat. Sorry, it's not more. But he came in and he was like, I'm in, and whatever it takes. And I mean, has done some incredible things and really just shined. And now with him sticking it out, we've learned more about him. We got closer to him, and he's pumping out some great productivity and computer code. And I mean, just now he's like 10 men together because he's got AI helping him. And
now you can compensate him properly, and it's paying off for him.
Exactly. And for us, like for me, right? I mean, I was a Marine, I was a machine gunner, dabbled in aviation logistics a little bit, and here I am trying to run a logistics company that's treading new waters and almost reinventing the wheel. And I don't know what I'm doing, but like for me, I'm still here because I was able to stick it out. I was able to say, hey, it's a partnership that I want. These are people that I want to move forward with. This is an industry that I can be passionate about, and seeing it for what it is. Hey, we've got a global play here. We could innovate logistics for the world, the way that the world does logistics. And it's crazy. I mean, I actually thought of this today, but I can get a $12 pizza delivered to my house. I can see when it goes in the oven to when it's on the front seat of the delivery driver's truck and to when it's at my front door. fully tracked. But the old way of the logistics is 20,000 pound generator. I just press, it goes on some guy's truck and I hope it gets there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hope the channel,
right? So I mean, it really just takes someone who sees the need and the area that we can fit into the industry or the market or the vertical, whatever it is, and is willing to attack it with you. And the trust gets built on, you know, the conflict resolution, the willingness to play games, right? To play the ball game where it's like, hey, look, our goal is to build a culture of a giant corporation that works perfectly. And to do that, we have to lean on each other. We have to trust each other. We have to make sure we're maintaining our best interests for each other. And that just takes communication. And, you know, when we started off, I'd say, you know, just to kind of piggyback on this, on finding co-founders, finding a partner. Me and Warren were best friends, really tight-knit. We were Christians, I'd say. And it was rocky, right? We weren't following God. We weren't fully surrendered. And that flip came probably around 22. We really said, hey, look, let's be real. Let's be Christians, and let's let it show in our business, right? And I mean, we cleaned up our language. We cleaned up our act. We cleaned up everything we could to be a light in the business world, and really just love others, right? And I mean, that right there, like full spin. Our conversations and meetings, unbelievably different. Our cohesiveness as a team, totally different.
So you have a nation built on biblical principles, and we are experiencing the fruit of that. And I mean, even, you know, the last 100 years have been a little rocky, but we're still experiencing a nation that is more Christian than any other nation. And it's not because of science, it's not because of progressive ideas, it's because of biblical values. And instilling that in our children, our children's children for generations is how we continue to grow as a nation, but only if we put God first.
Absolutely.
It's not because of, you know, the things that we've done or you know, the feats of man, but because of what really Christ has done for us. And it's really cool to hear you talk about the kind of the pivot. And you mentioned earlier, I kind of want to ask about it. There were times where, you know, you didn't make any money, you couldn't pay your employees, and just recently, you know, I came out, worked for my brother. He has a startup as well, and I'm working for him and learned a lot of things from him because he's doing a great job. But he told me, like, there's many times where his guys would eat before he would, because he had made enough money where he could pay his guys, and he didn't make anything. And there was like a year of that, and it really sucked. So I kind of want to ask you, during those times of, you know, you don't know if you can put food on the table, you got a family, you got a wife, you got a kid, you got kids, you have other people's family and kids. What were some of the thoughts kind of going through your mind, and how did you battle them?
Oh my gosh. So it's tough. And you know, I have multiple ventures where, you know, that's always in the back of your mind, right? Like, their well-being is on your back. It's your burden to carry, right? There's so much more to being a leader than you know, or per se a king, right? You sit in your throne,
Yeah.
you got good eating those grapes, and you know, you always see in the movies, right? Somebody's fanning you with a big palm leaf, you know. God, it's not like that. I mean, and still people ask me, like, dude, you work for yourself, you make your own schedule, you get to pay yourself whatever you want.
Not what you think.
It's like, dude, I do get to pay myself whatever I want. Out of the kitty that's left after paying everyone else and all the bills and the damages and whatever problems arise, right? The taxes, the workers' comp. I mean, there's so much, you know. It's
like, oh, we made $1 million, but
Yeah.
800,000 of it goes to you, and the other 200,000 goes to the bills.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
Like 20 grand left over for me for the year.
I'm making not even half what I used to make, and that wasn't even a good job. So there's that feeling of like, man, I'm letting everybody down. Or, the worst thing is like, everybody's paid. It's like, now I just got to tell my wife she's not getting paid. And like, how are we going to celebrate birthdays and Christmas and all these different things? The things that you don't think about when you're like goo-goo-eyed, sitting at your 9 to 5 dreaming about an entrepreneurial adventure.
The little talkies and the Instagram.
Yeah. You could be your own boss. It's like, man, but then you're everyone else's boss and you're responsible for everyone and their well-being. Yeah, absolutely. But I think the big takeaway is you have to strive. You have to go through the gauntlet that is entrepreneurship. And I'll say it this way. So in the very beginning, when we started Gophr, we had an investor lined up for $17 million. It was going to be done. I mean, we were going to have all the money we'd ever need. We could fail 10 times and still keep going. But that investor fell through. And today, I'm so glad it did. We would be in such a bad place, mostly spiritually, right? I never would have had to lean on God so much.
If you're just rolling the dough,
exactly.
And everything to worry about.
We probably have 2,000 employees now with a terrible culture. We'd be wallowing in terrible conflict resolution. It would be bad. I can tell you, honestly, I think it would be terrible if we didn't just fizzle out long ago. I don't think, money's not the answer to every problem. And with that, knowing that and really understanding that you can do a lot more with a lot less, that piece is so important. Biblically, right? Jesus, 5 loaves, 2 fish, right? It's not about how much you have. It's what you're willing to do. It's what you're willing to use it for, and not seeing anything stopping you, right? Everything is not a wall. It's just a hurdle. Right? Jump over it. Figure out a way. If you need to, go around it. That's how we pivoted, right? It's as simple as that, right? So with the payroll thing, it's tough, but manageable, and you really weed out anybody who's not in it, right? And there's ways to work around. It's like, okay, cool. Hey, look, I can't pay you. And we did this with our engineers a couple of times. Like, hey, look, we've got, found a guy who needs some software development stuff. You guys want to work on this? It's paying this much. You guys can take all that. It's for you guys, whatever. So different things we were able to make money at. Like I said, we started a construction company after the hurricane, so kind of had some dollars rolling in from that. Actually ended up robbing that company to pay Gophr employees, so kind of pushed that money through. It was wild, But that again, it was we pushed through and we jumped on whatever opportunity that arose to really just make it work. I mean, and that's what entrepreneurship is, just making it work. Flying by the seat of your pants, just adapting and overcoming, right? Marine Corps route.
Build a plan, but then
that's it.
Just figure it out along the way.
Figure it out along the way. I mean, the biggest plan you can have is I want to succeed, right? It's the goals are very broad. It's we need this much revenue, right? What product line is it coming from? What services is it coming from? Doesn't matter. Let's get there. Keeping investors happy, making sure that we're doing things by the book legally, right? All comes in with the biblical principles that we follow. But just maintaining a level head about it and saying, hey, look, I can't buy a new car in this decade. I can't, do this or that. Hey, we're not going to have a membership at the cool, gym down the road because we can't afford it. Our vacations are going to be, just down the road. That's all we can afford, right? Yeah, we're gonna hang out at the house, and yes, I've been working the whole time, but it's and on that note, right, making sure that there is family time is important. Making sure that when your employees want some family time, that they are valued enough, that they see you valuing them and their livelihood, right? To say, hey, don't answer the phone call. go have the family time, get some downtime, right? Super huge for morale, and that's what builds that cohesiveness, right? Too, as well, right? It's just like feeling valued outside of just how good you can work, but just valued as a human being, right? And that feeling is huge.
So you mentioned family a little bit, and say you got some guys out there that they got a dream, they kind of have a little plan, but they're like, their wife really isn't on board, or they got littles at home, and it's like, how can I step away from my W-2 where I know how much money I'm going to make to, I have no idea if I will make $1 doing this. What advice would you give that person that, like, they got an idea, they kind of want to, but they're at a place in life, they're not single, they're not in their 18 to 25, they're like a little later, but they have a desire to do something. They know there's more out there. They know they can go get it. There's just a couple practical restraints that might be preventing that. What would you tell them?
So having your co-pilot, having your wife or husband with you, to back you is huge, right? Without my wife backing me, it would have been impossible. And there's been times where she's just like, I don't know how much more I can take. And it's, you had to have those conversations and kind of go down that road like, hey, look, I know it's rough. And, if I leave now, right, all this time is wasted. If I leave now, it's going to pop and I'm not going to be there. And it's my baby and I've been building it, and so like, really committing, right? Okay, so if my wife was on board when we set out on this journey, right? I got her on board. It was scary. She was scared. I was like, hey, look, I'm gonna do this side job. I'm gonna make sure money's paid in, right?
So you gotta hit it as a side hustle first?
Yeah. Well, actually, I jumped all the way into Gophr full time, right?
Yeah,
but it was like I had these other little side hustles I could do here and there, right? I mean, I'd go, cut somebody's grass or. Whatever, like it was literally like
you did whatever it took.
I need $200 like to pay this bill. I'm gonna figure it out. I actually joined the reserve marshals, and that actually, helped out hugely. Like just being able to do a little side gig for the marshals here and there, make a little extra money, just unbelievable. And then the same thing with the construction company. And then business consulting, started jumping into that, helping people market things or whatever else. And, just little tidbits here and there that, was able to kind of help them on the side. And then the same thing, like, okay, hey, we're not eating out anymore. And hey, we're not going to buy fancy clothes, right? We're going to shop at Walmart. We're going to shop at Goodwill, right? Just kind of cutting things down to where it's like, if you want, and here's another Dave Ramsey thing, right? So live like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? And the idea of that is, this American way of life, right? This Western culture way of life where I need the nicest things. If everybody's buying these particular shoes, I need those shoes. If everybody's buying these sunglasses, I need those sunglasses. These shirts, these pants, these cars, these houses, whatever it is, right? Hey, you don't really need it. You need, and we saw this in Afghanistan, you need a 1-bedroom mud hut, right? And some blankets to put on the ground, and that's it. No electricity, you don't need running water, you don't need food, but maybe once a week, right? We didn't live to
if you're talking about sustainment of life.
Yeah, you can live. Okay, so take that bottom of the barrel lifestyle, kicked it up 10 notches, and you're at, okay, we got a 3-bedroom house, we got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, we didn't go to Hawaii this year for vacation. We're good.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down to, if you know about Louisiana, we're going down to Cameron Beach. It's in the armpit of the Gulf of America. It's pretty rough, right? All the bad silt and seaweed ends up there.
Yeah.
Right? And that was our beach trips. It's 45 minutes, maybe an hour away. Hey, it's awesome because we're together and we're on this journey together. Dad's home. He can work from anywhere. It's amazing, right? We get to be a family and the clutter that comes with the Western culture lifestyle it's just distracting. It's distracting from the values, the family values, biblical values, everything that you really should be seeking, right? The actual American dream is freedom. And that's freedom from stuff, possessions and all that, right? And the freedom to be able to focus on what really matters. So to answer your question, if you're in that spot where it's like, hey, look, financially, I can't jump out of my current occupation, my current career to go chase this dream, save up money, like figure out a plan. Okay, the wife's afraid we'll get a pair of bills. Okay, cool. Hey, you know what? Here's how much we need to live on. I want to put away this much, and in 6 months, I'll have a year's runway, and I'll be able to step out for a whole year, try this thing out, right? If I don't make enough revenue within that year to start, sustaining life,
Go find another W-2.
I'm going to have to find another job, right? Or you might be stocking shelves at Walmart, in the middle of the night to make this thing work, right? There's got to be sacrifice to get the gain, right? And sometimes you can start a business where the revenue is just like, boom, you're profitable day one.
Sure.
If you started a week before, you'd be that much more profitable. But you did. Coming up with some goals is important, right? You and your spouse, or you as a family, like, okay, here's some goals, right? I need to, in order to start this business venture, I need this much money in the bank. I need you to be okay with that. I need to say, hey, look, we're not going to take any, expensive vacations. We're not going to spend money on silly things. We're going to really plan out our expenditures, which this is something that every family should do anyway, right? It's discipline.
Yeah.
That you as parents and as married couples and as Christ followers need to do. We need to be good stewards of everything we have. The whole business thing is really a growing opportunity. Outside of just building something big, building a career, building a legacy, it's just being who you're supposed to be, who you were called to be. So yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice is just plan it out, make some goals, find an achievable way to satisfy your wife's nerves and your family's needs, while also being able to pursue this business venture. And obviously on top of that, feasibility studies. You're making sure that there's actually a market for this venture you want to get into, and that comes with just research, which is at our fingertips now with ChatGPT and AI as a whole. Just you can find the answer to that question. Is this a good idea? Who else is doing it? Why should I do it? Where should I do it? Who should I do it with? Kind of give you some insight on who to pick and where to find a partner.
Yeah, and I feel like with ChatGPT, AI, Gemini, all these things, it's really leveling the playing field, because what used to, you had to hire experts to find these answers. Just a well-constructed prompt with a couple of variables, you can get, 90% there on some analysis. It can do studies for you. It can look, it is at your fingertips. You just got to go ask it the right questions.
That's it. Yeah. And that's key, 100%, asking the right questions.
So you mentioned a legacy, and I guess I just kind of want to ask you let's say you build this thing. Let's say it's just a massive company. What is your legacy that you want to leave with it? What do you want to do with it? Because you're not going to live here forever. And, 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, you mentioned at the beginning, 80 years old, looking back at your life, wondering what you've done. When you're 80, what does that look like for this business that you've built?
So for the business itself, it's expendable, right? And that's important in entrepreneurship, is like, okay, this business doesn't have to be mine forever, right? There's a saying I like to lean on, is everything's for sale, right? So someone offers the right amount of money, it's for sale. If the right business play comes along, a merger, acquisition, whatever, right? Hey, it's if the numbers are right, it's a good idea, right? The legacy I'd say for me as a Christian father and husband is more of a legacy of like, okay, explaining to my children what I'm doing in the business and how that equates to their life and what they should do, right? And pointing them in the right direction. Like I talked about this Western culture, right? Where it's like, go to school, get your high school diploma, go to college, get your degree, and go join the workforce, right? These steps that our culture has built are not necessarily the right way, right? We've since put our kids in homeschool, right? So we're homeschooling, and I'm like, hey, start a business now. My oldest is 11 years old, and when he wants some money, you know what he does? And I didn't really even urge him to do this. He just did this on his own. He goes outside, sets a table up on the side of the road, and sells popsicles or lemonade. And he'll come in with $100, and he'll be like, Dad, let's go to the store. I'm like, bro, awesome. Hang on, I need some rent money. Hey, I had to buy those colors for you the other day. Like,
you want to learn my taxes?
You
gotta get some it up.
Yeah. You got to pay Uncle Sam. You got to pay Uncle Dave, right? But the whole point of it is the legacy of discipline and knowledge and experience, right? I mean, that's the real legacy. You really have, in talking with people that are extremely successful, right? They don't just give their kids everything. They nurture their kids, right? They're going to leave them a ton of money, but at the same time, they want to teach their kids to make their own money and to better the next generation. And that's what this is all about. A legacy of not just freeloaders, not just lazy brats.
But get to retirement and have enough money.
Exactly, right? I want my kids to never have to worry about money, but to know how to make it. That's the biggest legacy you can leave behind. So
if they don't know how to make it, they won't handle it when they get it.
They won't at all. That's absolutely right. I mean, with how I spend money now, like we're not, going out of our way, overextending ourselves. It's easy. When we go out to eat at a fast food restaurant, it's a treat. So it's more enjoyable, right? So being able to enjoy the small things and know, like you said, know how to make money, know how to enjoy life with that. That's the legacy. So really with the business and what that's turned into is like, hey, look, it's a cool business. There's other options out there. So if this one sells today and, get a, lump sum, whatever, right? What am I doing next? So the legacy is more just always pushing to do more. So if we say Gophr, we never sell it, and it becomes this huge monster of a business like Amazon, that's cool. If we sell it tomorrow, never even dabble in it again, that's cool too. The whole principle is not the money we leave behind, but the ideals and the discipline that we leave behind.
So let's say, we'll kind of end with, say you got 1, 5, 10 tips, top tips that somebody who's thinking about starting a business, they want what you have, they just don't really know how to go get it. What do they do today, this week, this month, this year to go get that?
Easy. You said it earlier, it's research. You've got to research. You find an idea that you love, research that idea. Right? And if it won't work, it won't work. Move to the next thing. The more no's you have, the closer you are to a yes, right? If it's, you've got to be non-biased, right? My idea is great. Okay, does anybody else think so?
Well,
you've got to
pride.
ask that question. Yeah, your pride. Yeah. You've got to let your pride fall down enough to see clearly. Reality is everything. I mean, you look at any other company. I mean, a pivot. The word is pivot. Amazon. It was books. It was just books for readers. Okay, not anymore. I mean, there's books in there, but that's not
audible because they're like, all right, this is better.
Yeah, right. So you look at Google. Google wasn't supposed to be what it is. You look at, all these huge companies that weren't like that. That it wasn't what they originally set out to do. So their ideas didn't suck. They just weren't fully developed. right? So you really got to go to the drawing board and be ready to pivot, but you want to get, starting off, just research every bit you can, find out what people are into. Case studies are super important. Just getting a feel for what's needed in this market, this industry, this geographic region, whatever it may be. Find the problem and add a solution. If there's no problem that your solution fixes, you either have a bad idea or a video game, right?
You need to go find another problem.
That's it.
Okay. So you go research, you find out something. What do you do next?
So it's quite simple. You just get started. And it sounds difficult if you don't know how to get started, but
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
you just seek out people. There's programs out there, dozens of them, right? You got Techstars for mainly tech companies. You've got accelerator programs. You can Google those. That's part of the research, right? Who can help me? And you'd be surprised the amount of people out there that have made their exit from their company. They've got a ton of money, and this is where the legacy piece comes in. The legacy isn't actually one of my good friends, Mr. Pender, Wade Pender. This guy, blinds.com. No telling how much money this guy made on his exit. But you'll find him in Houston at the Ion. You can walk in and recognize Wade Pender and say, hey, I got a question. He'll sit on bench with you for hours, talking through what you need to do, your best solutions, all this stuff. And he doesn't get anything. He gets exactly what he found out he needed, was this trail is leaving behind him, this legacy is leaving behind him, where he's just helping people. And every now and then he gets to take part in a company that really heeds his advice and sticks it out and becomes great. And he gets to say, hey, I got to do that. He gets to tell himself, hey, Wade, good job being there. That right there is huge. There's people like him. I could make a list, and it's astonishing how many people are out there who are just willing to help, willing to talk. Me and Warren, we started actually the same, I guess a year after we started Gophr, we started a company called Embark, a nonprofit organization where we just wanted to help people. We realized early on that was our real passion, was helping other people start businesses and just figuring out problems together. It's so exciting, right? You get to do the startup thing all over again, only this time there's no skin in the game. It's amazing, right? And that's what it is, like just helping people find their passion and pursue it. That's who you need to look for. Find people that have the experience and knowledge and can really push you in the right direction. So research everything you can, then research some more, then research people that can help you, and then go. So, getting your paperwork done, right? Which is part of the research. Hey, ChatGPT, what do I need paperwork or license-wise? Okay, get it, right? Your tax accounts, your LLCs, do I need a C Corp or S Corp? ChatGPT's got those answers, or you can find an accountant or a lawyer and get these things set in stone. Okay, cool. Compliance. How do I stay compliant? Research. Find out exactly what avenues you need to take to stay on top of that compliance piece. Okay, fundraising. How do I raise funds? Okay, SEC, ChatGPT. Find out exactly how you need to go about finding accredited investors and what vehicles you need to put their money in to make it safest for them. Do I need safes or notes, or what exactly do I need to do to raise money? Then there's how do I do my taxes? Who's going to do my taxes? How do I do my payroll? What software can I use? There's tons of software out there. Marketing, same thing. Find a good marketing firm. They're a dime a dozen too. You got to find someone who fits into your team, who fits into you, and shares the same values and will market you the way you want to be marketed. There's just a ton of resources out there. But I think the real thing is to not sit around and wait. Research enough and then go do, right? You can learn tons. You can spend 20 years just learning about business. I've got a master's in business, and it's not anywhere near as useful as it was just going and doing, just figuring it out. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to, hey, that's a possible customer. What can I do with a possible customer? I can have them sign a letter of intent. I can take that letter of intent, take it to an investor. Hey, look, I got a possible customer. They're saying they'll do this much money with me a year. How's that look? And it looks pretty good. And I'll invest. Get 50 of those. Hey, this guy's got a real idea. These people are saying it's a problem now, and they want to use this solution. So beautiful, right? So it's just things like that where it's just, and I didn't know what a letter of intent was before we started Gophr, but I went out there, it was like, hey, we need some letters of intent. I went and talked to every business I could find. And I had no idea. I mean, they didn't know I was walking in there. I'm walking into the store and I'm like, hey, you guys ever want your stuff delivered? Well, yeah, we do. I'm like, well, we can do that for you. Well, not yet, but we're going to. So sign this letter saying you like it. It's real grassroots, but it's about just jumping out of the airplane and getting things going.
Well, a lot of things you mentioned, and because you're on my show, I get to ask you these questions. A lot of me even starting Hillbilly Hustle was me and ChatGPT. So I want to start a podcast. I had no idea what to do. Tell me. It was like step one. Do you want to be clean with the books? All right, start an LLC. You need a business account. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I start an LLC? Well, go to this website, do this. Okay, so I'm like literally me and Chad is our code name for Chad.
That's what I call him too.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, Chad. I'm like, how do I do this? It's like lays it all out for me. But now I'm kind of like at the visionary stance of like I got started doing the interviews. If I were to come to you and say, hey, how can I build a better podcast? What would you tell me?
Oh, have people better than me on it.
I'd
say that the biggest play is just to keep going. I mean, that's it, right? And learn from every podcast you do. Learn from every step of the game. Get better and better and better. Watch other people's businesses, other people's podcasts, and say, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Why do they have so many followers? Are they telling a story or just, are these questions mundane? Are they not deep enough? What's making them successful that could make me successful? What can I glean from them? So it's really just jumping in.
Yeah, that's good. I guess before we close, any last words that you have, any words of wisdom, maybe some things that have kept you going along the way?
I'd say the biggest one is you can do a lot more with a lot less.
That's a good one.
That's about it.
Well, David, I appreciate it.
I'll give you this hat.
Oh, man.
It's an official Gophr hat.
All right, I love the hat.
Designed by me, Richardson 112.
This wasn't even your marketing company, this was you?
This was me.
I like it, man. Yeah, can wear it. Man, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope to have you again when you're just rolling dough.
That's it.
And maybe we'll be in one of your carriers one day.
Hey.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you tuning in and look forward to seeing you next time on Hillbilly Hustle.